Cool, and we are live. So welcome to those who are watching this on catch up. I hope that you enjoy the conversation. Those of you who are listening to this as a podcast, I hope that you enjoy it. And thank you to those who are here live. Louis, hello. It's been a while, my friend. Ach, dankie, Gotta keep on top of things. Edgar, hello. Barbara, hello. Welcome, everyone. I've got the dogs here with me, so I hope that they are not too much of a hassle. I was eating a little rusk here on the desk, and they just, it's like one of their favorites. But welcome, everyone. I'll just give it a couple moments and wait for Priya to jump on. I hope you're all feeling fantastic on this beautiful Monday. Sure. I think for a lot of people, pretty much 2 more work weeks left, maybe 3. Other people like myself, I won't really be taking a lot of holiday. I will be working, kind of teaching throughout the holiday times, which I'm actually really looking forward to. Hi, Lorna. Welcome. My goodness, these two are not going to leave this rusk alone. Go away, gone. Go lie down. Go sleep. Genghis got the memo. The other one is not having it, that he can't have this rusk. Okay. See. I feel too bad to close them outside, because then they look through the door and they cry because they want to come in and join me, but then when they're in here they don't want to chill. Okay, Priya, send request. Let's see. Aha. Notification at the bottom. Let's see. Hello, Lisa Marie. It's been a while. Lekker om jou te sien.
Hello!
Yay! Hello!
Hello.
Oh, I'm so happy that this is happening.
It's lovely to see you. I mean, you're that big, but it's still good to see you.
I know. When I did the chat with Tams the other day as well, but by the end of it, I think the 2 of us were actually just chatting, and we almost forgot that we were on an Instagram thing, and we were like, okay, wait. People are actually listening to the shit we're talking about now. It's actually important. How are you that side, babes?
I'm really good. I'm really, really good. I mean, how are you? Your puppies and your whole new life, eh?
I'm good. I was just saying, I feel so bad when I have to close them outside, because then they literally sit at the door and cry, and then I feel like a bad person, and so then I let them in, but then they're disasters. So I'm gonna put them outside now, because they had their chance to listen and not listening. Come outside, go. Cardi, go. Go, good boy, go. Oh, okay. 1 moment.
You see, if that is a person, they'd have hands.
Come. Oh, my word. No, it's wild. I'm not gonna lie.
Look, it could be like a little 5-year-old.
Huh?
It could be like a little 5-year-old with hands to open the door. You see, it's a whole different situation.
He knows how to open the door. He has taught himself. He's learned that when the handle goes down, the door opens. So now he opens all the doors in the house. Ooh. So if there's a room that he can't go into, we now have to lock it. But anyways, all right, enough about me and my dogs. Welcome to everyone who is on here with us live. Mariki, hello, Liffy. Ndiwu, thank you for joining, babes. That's a nice face to see pop on here. She will actually be joining me for a chat in next year, which is very exciting. So to those of you who have just joined, or like I said, to those of you who are listening to this as a podcast, welcome. I'm very, very, very excited for this conversation that we're going to be having. Priya is a dear friend of mine. Just to give you a little bit of background, when I was doing research on where I wanted to do my yoga teacher training, the Charlotte Cape Town Yoga School was one of the schools that came up, and at that stage Priya was still teaching there. And I remember going through the school and through the course stuff, and then going through the teachers and looking at all the pictures of the teachers. And I remember Priya's photo in her bio came up, and I was just like so enchanted by this human that I was just like, I have to meet her. Like, I have to meet her. I just know I have to meet her. And like, low key, very like slightly obsessed with you since I like just saw that picture of you. And then I remember like meeting you the first time at the Shala, and it was like, very, very cool. But then like as I got there, you stopped teaching there, and I was like, no, what?
But
Um, yeah.
I think the connection we have now is far better than anything that we could have
I
actually
mean,
imagined. So,
yeah, 100%. And I mean, and then I got the in when I became your cat sitter, actually, when I looked after Ming Ming, which is always just the best. And yeah, and then from there it just grew. And
mm,
you've become a
mm,
very good friend of mine, but you've also helped me so much. I mean, you've just helped me so much on so many levels. I mean, I remember coming to you when I was probably going through one of my 200 bouts of burnout,
mm,
and coming to you, and just for the entire 2 hour, I think I was there for like 2.5 hours maybe the first time I came to
mm,
you, and for
mm.
the whole treatment just sleeping through the entire thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. So for those of you who do not know Priya, I'm going to actually just hand over to you, babes. And yeah, just a little bit of an introduction to, yeah, I always think it's so important. It's great to know who someone is now, but it's much
mm,
more interesting when you know where they've come from. So
yeah,
yeah, if you'll share a little bit of that, take it away.
sure. Well, it's quite a big question, kind of who I am and what my healing journey is and how I got to practice all these modalities that I do. And it's a huge question. I think the reason I landed up where I am is because I started seeking out from a very young age what I needed for myself. And when I saw the benefits they had in my life, it was just, there was no choice but to share this. I grew up in a very interesting household, that we were an activist household. The whole family was fighting this revolution against apartheid. My father was involved, my mother was involved, my older brother was involved, my aunt who lived with us was involved. So that house is really a melting pot and of all kinds of very interesting discussions, where we were like really encouraged to like question everything, understand everything, to not just take things at face value. Um, and it had positive attributes, and it had not such great effects on us, because we also lived through a time of quite intense fear, um, a lot of trauma, a lot of anger, and it's kind of mediating between being very intellectual and then somehow grappling with your own emotions. It was never easy. So there was always this little bit of a push pull within me, what I was presenting versus what I was feeling inside, and very often maybe not completely connected to what I was feeling. And so that makes you look. And when I was quite young, I had quite a traumatic experience that I only remembered later on in my 20s. And I think that also created again this kind of push pull, where my system was looking for resolution and wasn't getting the solutions that it needed. Um, the schools I went to were all amazing, because my family was incredibly aware to not position us within a particular race. So, as a so called Indian person, I went to first, I suppose, a white private girls' school when I was very small. And then the boycott started, and I was pulled out of school. Apparently, I decided I wanted to leave school. And then in primary school, I went to a so-called colored school. And from there, I went to what were known as the Model C schools. So these were the schools that were previously reserved for white people, and I was the first batch of kids being allowed in there. So for me, from an early age, like my identity, I knew was always kind of malleable, and I learned to, decide who I was for myself. And yet at the same time, I was always very much, an outsider. I never really fitted in anywhere because when everything is so malleable and, what do you root yourself to?
Yeah.
So, I mean, by the time I got to standard nine, I think they sent me off to a psychologist. And I remember sitting in front of this woman and going,
We
and
need
I,
some extra help with a child.
yeah, we need something must help. But I literally, I remember sitting in front of this woman and going, now, how do I get out of this? And I literally looked at her and I decided, and I mean, I mean, talk therapy has definitely got its place, but it wasn't for me at that time.
Mm, mm,
Um, and I remember looking at this woman and going, what do I need to say to you to get out of this situation? And how do I say it? And I constructed that very carefully. And by the end of my kind of prescribed session, she said, this child's absolutely fine. She should be functioning at above whatever level. And off you go. A few prescriptions and a few of this. And off they sent me. And I think the tablets didn't really help me because my problem, and I knew inside, was that I wasn't connected to what was going on inside of me. So I stopped taking that. And then by the time I got to matric, I think I was in a really bad space. I think I was really not happy anymore. I went to school for 2 weeks in matric, and I came and I told my parents, listen, if you don't take me out of the school now, I'm not going back to school. And they were like, what? You're in matric, it's a good school, and all of these things. But I changed and I went to a college, which suited me a lot better, like a lot better. It's more relaxed, it's more informal. I didn't have to kind of jostle to be who I was. Probably a bunch of us who didn't fit in anywhere else landed up at the college. It was probably quite perfect. Um, and then 2 weeks into that, I was awarded a scholarship to an international school, and I went. Um, But because I was in such a bad state, I actually had to be sent home. I was like slightly suicidal. I literally had to be extracted from that and taken back home. And I went back to college, and I was like, for me, relatively happy. And then, Kiki, just out of the blue, I had this incredibly crazy experience that kind of ripped my entire perception of reality apart. Literally turned everything upside down and on its head. Um, and, and nobody really knew how to understand
mm,
what happened
mm.
or what I was going through.
And at the time, I'm sure, like the English language doesn't really allow for an
No,
explanation.
no, no.
Yeah.
Not an explanation that is healing or
Mm,
that would have bettered me in any way.
yeah.
It felt like all the definitions that were out there, they seemed really scary. Like I didn't want to categorize myself as that because I knew that's not what's going on, you know.
Mm, mm,
And after a while I mean, the whole house was affected by this, and it turned out to be in quite a positive way because then we started actively seeking out other solutions, and I think
mm,
that's why I'm very or understandings, not even solutions, like different ways of understanding what is going on. And I think for that reason, I'm very grateful to have had the parents that I had, to have been so willing to walk down that road with me and to trust me, to say, my daughter's actually totally fine. We just don't understand what's going on.
yeah. But we hear her voice. We
Yeah.
hear like she's trying to say something. Yeah.
And somehow with that, and I mean, it was a time of extreme everything, extreme emotions, extreme things going around. And I was in matric, and all of this was going on. The right people started coming just out of the woodwork, with these little bits of information and ways of understanding the world that just immediately sank into me. And I think for the first time in my life, I started going, ah, yes, and I could feel the relaxation in my system. Um, and also that extreme event that happened to me was a huge turning point in my life. After that, I literally, it felt like these layers got blasted off me. All of these kind of imposed things that I was carrying got blasted off me. And I felt free to move in any direction. After that, I was like a very different person. I was genuinely happy, started making real friends for the first time. Um, Even things like my marks. I was always in the top third at school, and I shot up to coming first at the college, and that continued through university. So I went from there to always getting the class medal and being on the Dean's Merit list and being invited to something called the Golden National Key Society in South Africa. So something woke up inside of me, and I just started walking. And as I walked, the steps that I thought I was going to university to study psychology because I wanted to understand what was going on with me. And I ended up studying anthropology, which is more about. And I
Love
combined,
that.
it's just crazy. But I mean, everything has led me here because anthropology is more about how people create meaning in their lives. Here people are in all these situations, and from the outside, it looks like this. And it showed me that there is a way to create agency in any situation. So even for me, studying anthropology was also part of my healing because I was like, oh, but I'm empowered to understand this from my own perspective, and that is valid, you know. Um, so a lot of that happened, and while I was at university, I started exploring, all these things, started going to these holistic markets and looking at crystals and exploring all the myriads of modalities. And as most people did who were interested, I started studying Reiki, and I studied Reiki with two different teachers. Um, and the Reiki, funnily enough, is what introduced me to Tai Chi. So my first Tai Chi teacher was a Franciscan nun called Rita Baptista, and I'll never forget her. The most extraordinary woman, tiny, like tiny, tiny. And she always told me I had to do Tai Chi. And I was like, no, this is difficult. So I later went on to do Qigong with somebody I also met through Reiki. And I left university. Everybody thought I was set on an academic career, and did my honors, and I was like, no, I'm done. I need some life experience. And that's when I started studying shiatsu. So shiatsu it's based on Chinese medicine, the principles of Chinese medicine, but it's more based on touch. So a person lies down on the mat and involves massaging and stretching, but it incorporates the theory of the meridians and yin and yang. And that was my first introduction. And from there, I went on to study with Michael Lan. And I first studied Qigong with him. And then I started studying Tai Chi. And that led into the study of the medicine because you can't really separate any of those. In a traditional way, they all belong together. Um,
I
and
guess
from
that's
there,
the argument with asana in the Western world, right?
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's the
Yeah.
same everywhere, really.
People just want to like pick and
Yeah,
choose, and then it's like, yeah, you can, but then at least just still have some kind of understanding of what you're picking and choosing from.
or they want to pick and choose and they go, but why isn't this working? It's like, because, any practice requires depth. And, and it's not a linear thing, like you'll find yourself connecting dots 10 years down the line, you know. And then in terms of training, after that, I went on to study with Jeff Lan, and I'm still with him. I mean, really, in terms of Chinese medicine and Tai Chi and Qigong, I don't think there's anybody better. Yeah. So that is my current teacher, and yeah, I plan to never stop that.
I mean, I think one of the reasons you and I get along so well, and I actually think I've had this discussion with you, and I've also had this discussion with Tom before. So Tom is he, who is Tanzin's husband from the Charlotte, who's also an academic. I do not put myself in the academic category, but I put myself in the loving learning category.
Mm.
And I think you and I have spoken about this, and I know Tom and I have spoken about this, where we just like, I just want to know everything. Like, I just want to learn everything. And I actually this year had to like, I had to like ban myself from signing up from any like long-term courses or workshops or anything, because
Mm.
I was just like, actually, like, I need to live what I've been picking up
Yeah.
in the last couple of years. I need to like give myself
Mm.
integration time instead of just layering things on top of things. And I feel like that's really what I was able to do this year. And you know,
Mm.
doing a few of the new things that I haven't done, like going to experiencing things practically in the form of doing my first Kambo, doing my first Vipassana, and actually going and doing the whole picture, like you're saying. Like, it
Absolutely.
is the
Yeah.
whole picture. You can watch as
Mm.
many TED Talks as you want, you can listen to as many
Absolutely.
podcasts as you want. If you're not actively looking to integrate these things, and I know that that's really such a big part of your approach of all the work that you do. And so that was kind of like one of my questions that I put forward to you was, you know, in the sense, if you are working with a client, like, where do you start? Like, I haven't met you, you haven't met me. Because, okay, well, I'm going to share one quick story and then I'm going to
Yeah,
pass on
please.
to you. So for those of you who don't know me super well, your girl loves the dance floor and she loves the party, and used to go a bit wilder on the dance floors than she should have. Priya knows what I'm talking about. And and I went to visit Priya one day after probably a little bit of a bender, and I got to her house and I walked in and I walked to her front door, and Priya stood in her house and she looked at me and she said, please go stand outside, because you're not coming into my house with whatever's going on in your energy right now. We need to just fix this quickly and then we can move forward. And that's like, to me, like, that's so, it was so amazing, because it doesn't matter who's in front of you, whether it's
Yeah.
friend, family, stranger. You've got this amazing ability to read energy, but you've also got this like really like that the quality of like clairvoyance in being able to really see things for like what
Mm.
they are.
Mm.
And yeah, that just always like has always fascinated me about you. So yeah, if I was someone new walking into your space, I'm sure you wouldn't tell them to leave, but
Maybe.
maybe
Maybe. I might.
you might, yeah. Oh, so tell us a little bit about that, about your process
Mm.
of you know, like you say, basically what you're doing is you're just wanting to share everything that has been had an impact in your
Absolutely.
life.
No, absolutely. I think, for myself first, walking into a situation where I know I'm going to be holding space, I need to make sure that I'm aligned, that
Mm,
I'm grounded, that I've come into myself. And then you meet the person, they walk in and you actually meet them. And in that meeting, that initial meeting, there's an ignition that happens. And nothing can happen without that initial. And I sometimes have to wait for it,
mm,
and
mm,
it's a thing of bringing a person into a space, connecting and waiting. So in craniosacral, this is another therapy that I practice as well. In craniosacral, we often speak of you hold the shape as it is, but you're not just willy-nilly, you're holding the shape as it is with a direction, with that, I mean, in more common terms, maybe with an intention behind it, but you have
mm,
yourself very well aligned, orientated within yourself, and then you orientate to the person in front of you. And what
mm,
that allows for is it allows that person to come into the space fully as they are and to feel safe in that space. So that whatever they are holding, whatever they are going through, they must know that it can be contained in the space. And that's the first thing. I really believe, and probably the most important thing. Um, a lot of healing, I believe, is not so much about people doing things to you, but people holding space in a particular way that allows you to access yourself, recognize yourself, and begin to find your way back home. I mean, what is health really? You know, health is who you are. You know, a perfectly healthy person is fully in themselves, is fully aligned, is fully able to express themselves, you know, doesn't get swayed and buffeted around too much. And from that space of holding, to listen. And you're not just listening with your ears, you're listening with all of you know, so to be present with a person and to allow them to unravel, not in a bad way, to open up in front of you.
Yeah.
And then to see where treatment needs to go, and then to also be able to read how much can this nervous system hold right now. Because I don't believe in taking somebody beyond into the edge or going, this person needs to heal that, so therefore I'm going to apply this to get them there. There's so much going on in the system. And I really believe in small increments of change because it's lasting, because the system can actually understand what's going on and then continue with that. And, you know, the real genius of the healing, it doesn't come from me, it comes from me holding space, but the genius of the healing is the person who is healing themselves. Um, and I think if we can recognize that and honor that, that is the most important thing. And obviously, you need to know what you're doing. You know, you really, healing is, especially when you're holding people through serious things, you have to actually know what you're doing. You have to be trained and you have to be able to come in with that because that is safety as well. And it's a responsibility, you know, something I don't take lightly. It's something I don't take heavily either, but it's something I'm very conscious of. You know, this person is trusting me, so I have to meet them there.
I love that. It's something that I also always, and I don't have a judgment or an attachment to anyone calling themselves a healer. Just for me personally, I have never and I will never call myself a healer because like I'm not a healer. Like I'm my own healer and you're your own healer. And I believe that whether it's a yoga teacher, someone who practices Chinese medicine, or your mother or your friend, we all act as these conduits for each other's healing in like different ways, shapes, or forms. So perhaps it is a supporting of the nervous system, or perhaps it is a little bit of talk therapy, but we are all there and supporting each other. And I think with me, and I know that you're the same because you very much in your sessions you offer a lot of tools of empowerment to your clients. So yes, and it's the same as yoga classes. Yes, that hour on your mat is lovely, or the hour of the treatment is lovely because you get to not drive the kids to school or not be in the meeting or not be wherever. You get that hour and that's beautiful, but ultimately you're using this hour to restore, to regenerate, to release, in order to move forward a different version of yourself and to be able to then hopefully hold that version a little bit longer. And the more you integrate these practices, the shorter the gap becomes between your interest sparked in really applying this knowledge in your life, the more it starts to work. And so you know, I think that one of the big things for me at the moment, and I'm really just like, I don't know, maybe sometimes like I sound like a bit of a bitch to my clients, but just being like really honest and being like, this is your thing. Like, you know, this is your life. You really need to do this. And you'll know this as well. Tams and I always laugh about this is when someone hasn't kind of like come to yoga in a while, when they haven't come to class in a while, and they come to class and they go, like, you know, I've been meaning to come, like, you know, I'm gonna do a drop-in today, but next week I'm buying a month pass. Like next week I'm buying a month. And then like, I was like, cool, cool beans. Like come to yoga, don't come to yoga. It's not that I don't care, but like you can only take the donkey to the water and you can't make it drink. And that's the honest truth. And so I know that you are really good. I mean, I know when I go through things in life, and I'm very lucky to have access to you basically 24/7. But for those who don't and would have to come book a session with you, and for those who might not be able to come to you, because I know there's a lot of people on here that are not in the country or up further in the country, currently, I guess it's been hectic in all kinds of ways and all kinds of times, but with the current kind of social, economic, energetic climate that we're busy living in, what are a few tools or practices that really help you to stay grounded and, like you said, to bring you into yourself, or some practical information that you could maybe share to whoever's listening?
I mean, for me, myself, I definitely keep myself tethered through movements, not and very specific movements. So Tai Chi over and over again, even when I couldn't physically practice, just the principles of it have at times really kept me sane. So has Vinyasa yoga. This when you're practicing those things, the ability to be in the moment, to be aware, to be dexterous, to be skillful, to be playful, to weave all of those things together is, I think, incredibly valuable for the nervous system because, it's one thing to be sitting on your couch and to be relaxed, or to be on holiday and chilled out, but to, on purpose, put yourself into a stressful situation or position or working one on one with somebody with all of your stuff coming up, to be in those situations and to still navigate that with presence, with peace, with skill is, I think, what we need. That's the training that we need in this mad world because things around us are not going to slow down. And sometimes we physically can't slow down. So how then do you create the peace if it's not inside of you? Yeah, and the other things that tether me are definitely being in nature. Like the ocean for me, like if I have a crazy day or I've worked with people who've managed to or gotten my system dysregulated in some way, sometimes literally the only thing I want to do is go to the ocean and dunk because there is nothing more powerful to just bring you back into yourself. And I think, another skill that is very necessary is, really learning to observe the mind, and that's something that it's not easy. Um, it's not something you can get right. It's something you have to invest in without immediate gains, which in this world is quite hard. But a mindfulness practice, and I would say meditation, to actually learn to sit still and slowly develop and cultivate a practice, it is essential. Like the nervous systems, basically everybody who walks through my door, their nervous system is not okay. And it's just because of the incredible pace, the incredible amount of stress that we're under, external and internal. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was never a cold water swimmer, and only until I
I saw that.
moved right next to the ocean did I decide this year now is the time. And I remember in my 300-hour teacher training, and Tamsin told us, when she went through really crazy times, yoga nidra was one of the things that really was just like, this is a tool that works for me. And like you said, like I've found the ocean, and I've found the cold water, and I've found the
Yay!
space, and I've found the I was listening to, what was it? I was listening to something today, and they said we're so fixed on seeing matter and things that we don't see energy and we don't feel energy anymore. And I think when I'm in the water, because it's water, you can just tune in more to the fact that it's just vibration. It's like particles just moving like all around you, and the water's glistening and you can see the movement happening, and it's just nothing stays in one shape. And So I think like for me, like that has been like a big part of the healing of that. Um, quick question for you though,
Mm-hmm.
is I know you practice a lot of different modalities, and pranayama being one of them.
Yeah.
And I remember, because I've slept at your house a lot, that I think almost every morning that I've woken up in your house, you've probably every time been on your mat and probably every time been practicing Kapalabhati, or at least there was a period.
Yeah.
I think it's almost when Vaishi just like kind of just arrived. There was like a
It
lot
was
of
very
Kapalabhati
necessary.
happening in the mornings. So I'd love for you just to share a little bit of insight into why that specific pranayama technique really supported you.
Absolutely. So that's one of the things I actually forgot to mention. So part of my healing journey was in, I think, ages ago now, 2008. I was introduced to yoga by my aunt, and then she also introduced me to the art of living. And that is my first set structured practice. Um, and it's amazing because it starts off with a balancing kind of pranayama where you move through different stages. So you move from the base to the chest to the head to clear and to balance. And then you do an energizing breath, which is what you heard me doing a lot of,
Yes.
which is, and that is actually the Ujjayi breath. So it's not just in the belly, it's actually using the lungs as well. So it's belly and lungs.
Mm.
And then from that, a mudra practice with specific mudras, and then going into a practice called the Sudarshan Kriya, which is also a breathwork practice, which uses different breath rhythms. So that are all learned through the art of living, and I actually still practice that every morning. So no matter, it's kind of like brushing my teeth now, and I think that's what practices eventually become. Like I don't think about doing it, but I definitely feel the effect if I don't do it.
100%. 100%. It's also like you'll never
Did that
regret
solve
getting
it?
on your
Did
mat.
that resolve a mystery in your mind?
No, I mean, I've always just like I've always been like I said, like I've always been captivated by you, like since before I met you in this life in person, and it's been amazing and so inspiring to watch you over the last couple of years and to be able to learn from you and to have been like blessed to receive from you because you've just like everything you give is just so magical and I just love you so very much. So yeah, I've learned so much from you and it's been like it's really been a privilege to have been like allowed in your home, and yeah,
You
special.
are one of the most precious people to me ever. And to have this level of connection with you, it is like really, I can't put words to it. Like you say, I've taught you a lot. Like you have taught me so much, but you've also brought such love and such fun and such. You were just there, in those times when I really didn't have anybody, you were there. When I was I just had Vaishi, I just lost Conrad, and you were there, in a state where I didn't even recognize how traumatized I was. You were there and you picked me up and you held my child when I actually physically couldn't hold her anymore. And you did that simply because you are who you are, and I find that so humbling and so incredible. I mean, yeah, it's forever etched in me. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm gonna cry. Oh no. I actually, and when you said now you are who you are, it just like led to the segue of, the name of this podcast, which is called
Hmm.
As It Is. And
Uh,
it's very interesting because I was really waiting to receive the download of the name.
mm,
I tried to kind of
mm.
brainstorm about what I wanted to be, and I was like, sorry, Kathy, you actually know that never works for you. You just need to wait to receive. So just like be the generator that you are and calm down and stop being frustrated and just wait. And when I went to Pasathia's garden on the
Mm.
Saturday night, and I'd done like quite a few practices, and by the Saturday night, I'd also taken some golden teachers, and all of a sudden it was just like everything just started like flooding. I think I wrote like 6 pages in my journal just about all these like downloads. And as it is was the name that came through. And then when I went to Vipassana now, the closing like I guess mantra, or the closing I don't know what you'd call it, the ending of every practice is may all beings be happy and free, but not in the Sanskrit translation. And the Sanskrit Loka Samasta is like one of my, it's been like the mantra to my life since I first heard it in my teacher training. And then that comes up in Vipassana. And then one of the things that Goika, that the teacher keeps saying over and over again, is let it be as it is. Let it be as it is, as it is, as it is, as it is. And like every time he said the word as it is, which was like constantly over those 10 days, I was just like, no, man, universe, this is too much. Like, stop it. Like, this is too much for me to handle right now. And so, yeah, I guess that the question to you is, you know, if you had to explain the concept, or that your understanding of what it means to see things as they are, and what it is to be as you are, and see it as it is, you know, what would that be?
You know, I think, you know, we see things as we are, especially in the beginning, you know. And as we become aware of our patterns, and we start to drop those patterns, we get these glimpses into things as they are. And those glimpses can either scare you, or you can go, I want more, you know. And slowly, 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 as we keep going, and with the consistency and with the level of awareness, that little crack and little becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, until you kind of, it becomes more normal. And being out of balance and being in a pattern, we have more awareness around that. Not that we don't go into patterns, or that we become superhuman. Not that at all. In fact, I think this makes us more human. We start seeing ourselves more. You know, there's more to do. It's not like we are reaching an end point. But we really, as we meet ourselves, we can meet things around us as they are.
It was really beautiful. I actually got like full body goosebumps when you said that. And I think that's such a beautiful way to end this, is that sentence that you said now is like, and especially in the beginning, is you see things as you are. And you know, when you are spending time with people, and you can be mirrored, and you've got people who are also doing the work, and you know, that's why I think it is so important that, you know, start spending time with people who are doing the work, spend time with people who are looking to shed the layers, and who are looking to like up level and see things like towards what they are, like just really, really see the truth. Because I think that, you know, it's going to Vipassana now, one of the things that took me 10 years, I mean, it took me 10 years to go to Vipassana, literally 10 years. And it was just fear. It was fear of maybe hearing or seeing or feeling a truth, and also seeing my own truth. And through the last 10 years with the work that I've done, I actually felt like, you know what, actually I can hold space for myself, and I'm ready to see whatever it is that I need to see, because I know that I can hold space for myself, and I'm going to be okay. And I think that's the ultimate out of all of this, is find the people who are on the journey of doing all of this, and take as much support as you need, you know.
Absolutely.
Like get on your mat and explore, you know, like not everything is going to be for everyone. And that's such like a fun, creative way of life, is to go like, what works for me and what doesn't work for me. Going to Priya works, hashtag just saying. It works. I'm biased because I love her, but I can also truthfully say that someone who has struggled with burnout and overdrive and anxiety and depression and all the things that whatever has gone on, and that you've just made, I mean, we continue to work together, and whenever I'm venturing off into like a new branch of like natural medicine, I'm like, Priya, what do you know about this? tell me more about this. What do I need to know? You know, should I be doing this or not? But for those who are looking to get in touch with you, Priya, how do they do that? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Best way is to WhatsApp me, and I don't actually have that WhatsApp number on me. Or you could also email me at priyavassen@gmail.com.
Okay, perfect. I'll put that in the comments for everyone. But otherwise, you have Priya on here now on Instagram, so you can go to her Instagram page. You can go to the Darshan page and get in touch. She is in Cape Town, by the way. So if you are visiting, grab a spot while you're here. If you live here, it's a beautiful practice to bring into your. I find, like, you know, initially maybe it's going like once a month or once every 2 weeks to get things started, and thereafter really using it as a supportive tool to go every now and then just to like check in. And I know that you're just offering the whole experience, just like, yeah, it's so diverse. It's really, really amazing. So, and if anyone isn't sure, pop her a message and you can have a little chat. But we will keep on chatting the whole night.
Yes, please.
Literally. Yeah, well, this is part one. We'll definitely have another discussion and have another little chat. Hopefully these are going to be rolling on and rolling on. Yeah, and it's just cool to share and to yeah, just to be with everyone here. And so if you guys watch these things, please leave your questions, like send us DMs, comment here. What do you want to know? What are you not sure about? It's literally the nerd inside of us, like, absolutely loves this. So there's no such thing as a stupid question. Send them through. Priya babes, I love you so very much.
Love you.
And I'm so grateful for your time. Thank you. Please give a big love to Vaishi and a big hug and a big kiss to her. You can show her some of this video. Nana, tell her, look, Mama's on Instagram live. And
she'll be like, but Mama, why was I not there?
I know. She's going to ask you that.
She will.
Tell her next time she can make a guest appearance.
That's a deal.
Yeah. All right, babes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Love you lots, and thank you to everyone for joining. Thank you for listening, and I will catch you all on episode 3.
Yay.
Bye. Where do I go? Where's this thing? Oh, there we go. Bye.
Bye.